Happy November 26th. Almost Thanksgiving here in the US. So after this, we got to go buy a turkey, things like that, all the important stuff. I totally like. I see big text now, and I'm just like, oh gosh, what did I do? It's it's like a trigger. Oh no, no! Now you're making me self-conscious. I Do you guys have that? Like when you're reading, you real like you say a word out loud and you realize like you've never said it. You've just like read it a million times. I feel like that happens with tech words and things like that. And just like oh geez, I have no idea how to say this, or just people's screen names. That happens too. I should just intentionally mispronounce everything so then I don't get anything wrong, or I get everything wrong so therefore I don't get anything embarrassingly wrong. Oh, birthday! Oh, cool. Epically moved out. Well, happy birthday. Hope you had a good birthday at least. Hello, Greta. Greta. Now, see, now I'm super self-conscious about pronouncing people's names. Thanks a lot. Can you develop Bomb Squad 1.4 server AAR64? Oh, I wish I could. Honestly, this is one of those. Like, I do feel bad not being able to support older versions as well as I could, but it's just like a choosing your battles sort of thing. It's like I physically only have 24 hours in the day, and keeping up with the latest version of the game is enough to keep me very busy. So unfortunately I can't do much with older versions. I'm just not that organized also in terms of like trying to keep track of like what I patched in an old version and bring that up to the new version and things like that. So trying to be better now about, most everything has source on GitHub these days. I'm trying not to throw away old binaries. So hopefully going forward, people will still be able to like build older builds of the game and like patch them yourself to a degree if you need to. But yeah, in terms of like, for me to get to the point where I could build 1.4 again, that would be probably like weeks of work or something. So unfortunately, I can't really support 1.4 era stuff these days. It's it's getting a lot harder. Like 1.4 uses old Python 2.4, I think, or 2.x. And that is long since obsolete and unsupported and probably dangerous to a degree. There's probably vulnerabilities out there that are unpatched. So anyway, long story long. I do my best to support like the latest versions. I can maybe do like minor tweaks for slightly older builds, or minor server tweaks, to keep those builds from breaking if possible. But I can only do so much. JRMP port is being JRMP'd. Explain. What does that mean? You're based in Oh, so you moved like to the city? Because you were like near the city before, right? Cool. I love Krakow. That's like, I don't know. As an American, like all European cities are like all magical and, it feels like a Disney movie and it's so unlike what we have here. So it's like, but Krakow is just like awesome. I love Krakow. Oh, cool. Nice, nice. I keep wanting to. I mean, we go visit. Yeah, we go to Krakow. My wife is from near there also, so small world, of course. But so we go there a decent amount. I really want to just like spend some time like working in coffee shops in Krakow. I keep not not getting a chance to because every time I'm there, we're always like busy. But one of these trips. So awesome to hear on the JRMP thing. Um, Hope it hasn't been too much of a pain in the butt dealing with modern Ballistica stuff. Been trying to slow down breaking changes. as has been mentioned a few times. I think last time I talked about putting this fancy new file, changelog API versions in place. This is talking about like the next time the API version changes, which hopefully won't be for a while still. It's hopefully will be much of a smoother process where it's not going to like break every mod or everything out there. People will have kind of like a grace period where the API version will go up to 10, and then you'll maybe start seeing warnings for things that are going to disappear, and then you'll have a while to like update your mods. And then at some point, like 9 will go away. So like 9 and 10 will exist side by side for a while, basically. I mean, they won't really be different. It's mainly just like removing 9 is associated with removing certain features or changing certain features. So you can read this file if you want to kind of see how it'll work. But long story long is hopefully mods will not be breaking in the future as much as they have, when I bump API versions. So, and again with all the new stuff like feature sets. What am I doing? Can't talk and think at once. With all the feature sets and stuff, hopefully there will be even less reason to break things. Like instead of redoing the API for BA Scene v1, at some point I'll just make BA Scene v2. Same thing with like BA UI v1. At some point there'll probably be a BA UI v2. Though on a side note, that actually, I don't know when that'll happen because lately I've been working on what's called Cloud UI. It was called Cloud UI. Now it's called Dock UI, which long story there, but that's kind of a layer that sits on top of BA UI v1. And so I've been using that for things like the new store. And so I don't actually know when I would actually make a new lower level UI feature set. Probably at some point, but it kind of like lessens the need for it now, having like this high level layer on top. Let me just to bust that out, document. Yeah. Oops. I usually have my terminal window in the corner here so I can do random things like this, but I messed up my setup this morning. Or didn't mess it up, but didn't put together right. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying is the big thing I've been working on recently is this new store UI. You probably, if you've been running recent builds this week, you've probably seen this new store UI, which, it's a bit different. It no longer has the tab layout. It's more, it's like what you'd find in like an app store, it's just a bunch of scrollable rows. I've been working on trying to like fix some of the extremely broken, or not extremely broken parts, but like rough edges. People were saying like it's hard to scroll with these like long lists. So the one thing I did yesterday, I just added like, these kind of buttons. You see these if you're on like Facebook, you see like people you may know. It always has these like buttons to like scroll through these endless lists of things. So I added these. I'm also working on like fixing events so that like swiping is more natural. I've got some feedback on how like if you're on a phone and you're like swiping up and down and then you try to swipe left, right, it's like doesn't behave. You have to like wait until it stops moving and then swipe. So I'd like to get that kind of cleaned up. Refresh my memory. Was he in BS Pro? Like the old Pro? I mean, essentially Bomb Squad Pro was sort of like a starter pack. Or was it those 3 characters? I'm trying to remember what I had before. Petition to add the whole original 6 to the starter pack. So yeah, which 6 was it? It was, I should have. It was Kronk and Zoe also? Or I mean, Zoe's in there. Or not, Jack Morgan and, yeah, who was it? Dang it. Okay. Yeah, I'd be down to adding them just for historical sake. I was kind of like throwing this together real quick. I wasn't like thinking about matching Pro exactly, but probably for historical reasons that might be good. So yeah, maybe I'll make that change. I'm also maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm running some automated like A/B tests on like pricing and things like that, just to see like trying to find a sweet spot where enough people are able to unlock things, but also the game is hopefully enough people are spending tokens that the game is making money, stuff like that. got to pay for my servers. Um, so yeah, don't mind that. If you see prices like fluctuating or random things like that, they'll settle at some point here once I figure out like the right balance. Yeah, it's interesting with. I mean, I'm trying to be neutral here with prices, but it's interesting to see like the different things you get. If you price things high, like a high amount of tokens, obviously fewer people are going to buy it. But then if the total number of tokens you get from those fewer people is less than, if it's lower, it's like the whole supply and demand thing. It's kind of interesting. So I'm trying to like just let the numbers guide me, which hopefully doesn't mean like everything's going to be super expensive and then like 3 people will just buy those and it'll just be like the game is supported by those 3 people, like I don't want to wind up there, but to a degree, I want to see like what works best. I was thinking about that starter pack too. Like, would it? On one hand, I wouldn't want to like get it too confusing and bloated, but yeah, there's that thought too. Is like, would you rather see like a small starter pack that's real cheap and then like a big starter pack that has more stuff but it's more pricey? I was just trying to keep it simple with just like throwing one single starter pack in there. Talking about side quests here. Yeah, we can have a side quest update if we're talking side quests. Oh yeah, Mr. Sock, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Yeah, Betty is very with the store in place. Betty is pretty much addable now. There's one thing I wanted to do is I basically get some logging stuff in there so I can see how many for adding custom characters and like that. I can track exactly like how many have been like purchased and how much of that purchase comes from like paid tickets or paid tokens, things like that. Just so I can track that for if I'm paying folks for stuff or whatever down the line. It's good to have those numbers. Just to know like what the game is making from that, so then I could forward some of that along or whatever. So long story long, yes, we can get Betty in very soon. I need to ping you about a few files I'll need from you that are different from what you sent. It looks like you sent me like DDS files and things. Basically, if possible, I'd like to get like PNGs, like the uncompressed original versions, and then I'll plug that stuff into my pipeline, and then that spits out DDSs and whatever else. So it's just easier for me to do it that way for making changes in the future. Also, if you have it, this might be this is kind of a stretch goal, but if you'd be able to give me OBJ files for the models instead of your compiled Bomb Squad, Bob files and whatnot, because I'd have to like reverse engineer those to put those into my pipeline so that I could spit out a Bob file, if that makes sense. I can't actually like plug a Bob file in as the source in my pipeline, if that makes sense. So she's edible. Burp, burp, burp. I think we can also have Super Tux Cart does it. Yeah, it could be interesting to take a look at. I have right now I'm trying to figure out how to gracefully add stuff right now, but also transition to super cool 1.8 mode where stuff is downloadable. Like right now, the way Betty's going to be added is just using one of like the existing slots. If you notice, I've gone over this before, but if you pour through the game files, you'll see a bunch of data meshes. If you go through meshes, textures, whatever, you'll see a bunch of like placeholder stuff. You're probably all familiar with this, like Alien, this is not being used. Assassin. There's tons of stuff in here that's actually, right now it's just copies of Spaz. But the whole reason that was in there is so I could like add stuff in the future and it's not going to break people with older versions of the game. They will just see these placeholder versions. So that's how Betty's going to work right now. That's how probably a number of upcoming characters will work, just because it will keep it backwards compatible with 1.4, 1.5. Actually, I don't know about one. I don't remember when I added these. I'm sure it's in logs or something. But whenever I added all these, like Assassin, Alien, I think Granny is one of them. That's going to be what Betty swaps in as. But anyway, it'll be compatible with that version of the game, so that goes back years. Once 1.8 rolls around, that's going to be kind of a hard cutoff. So once you're playing 1.8, you'll basically have to join 1.8 servers, and it's going to be a bit more because the game is going to be doing some majorly different stuff, like passing assets around and things like that. Also, as I mentioned, that'll be a good time for us to like fix some physics things and stuff like that because it's basically going to kind of break the protocol. But anyway, yeah, for now, upcoming characters such as Betty will be using one of these. So there's Betty. Hi, Betty. And then in 1.8, it will behave. My plan is it'll behave in a different way where it will just know how to like download characters on the fly. So if someone joins your game and they're using a official, like a supported character, your client will just like download their character in the background, and then they will probably flip from looking like Spaz or something to looking like that character. It'll be a little bit more magical. In this case, it's like all the files are already bundled, so it uses those, even if they're like don't look right. Like old lady looks like Spaz, in older builds of the game. So anyway, but yeah, very much looking forward to getting that in there and start getting the ball rolling on getting new characters at least. Idea: make maps alive and interactive with players and events. What do you mean by players and events? I mean, I've long had the idea of like, wanting to have maps be more alive, like destructible bits or, things that move or whatever. I think a lot of that will require like Scene V2. I think Scene V1 is a little bit limited. But again, like that's coming up soon. Like 1.8 will be adding a new protocol and stuff. I don't know if it'll be Scene V2. We'll have to see. But yeah, I kind of feel like, adding these handful of characters for the remainder of 1.7 in a backwards compatible way, and then like taking the plunge and switching to 1.8 only mode. There will probably be another, like adding the new server list, which is number 2 on my side quest list right now. That will probably be somewhat of a cutoff too. I don't know if I'll coincide that with 1.8, but that's going to be something where anyone joining like a server in the new server list is going to have a V2 account, stuff like that. So that's going to be kind of a big break from the past anyway. So I think we'll be getting to a point where basically old players will kind of be siloed off into their legacy, like legacy server list, and hopefully most of them will migrate over to 1.8 and the new server list and everything like that. But it'll be interesting to see. That'll be kind of a point where the existing 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 user base they'll still be able to like play amongst themselves. I have no plans to like shut down the V1 server, V1 master server, or anything like that, but it'll be more like they won't be able to interact with the latest version of the game anymore, if that makes sense. That's my plan. The downloadable content will, come from my servers. I still want the game to support, arbitrary content that you add yourselves if you're making mods or whatever that are intended to run locally. But there are some just nice advantages of just having everything come from my servers. I can guarantee that things never disappear. I can have central control if, somebody uploads a Mario character, I can like flag that as like, nope, can't play with that or whatever. So it's a little bit about safety and just keeping everything predictable and controllable and having stuff not disappear. I know there is an upside to making things more free for all, like having things be able to come from arbitrary servers or whatever. So I don't know, maybe there's a place for that in the future, but at least for version 1, it's just going to be centralized where it's all coming from Google Cloud Storage, running my stuff or whatever. And again, all open source, so you can, if you want, you can inject your own like model loaders and things like that too. I do intend to back up everything. I'm really interested to see like how much junk goes through, you know, like how many people like mess around with a model and then never touch it again or something. Um, it does make me wonder like the economics of that. You know, looking at like YouTube, it's like how many gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff that will never be watched again are constantly being uploaded to YouTube. But like they're it works for them. I guess advertising makes them enough money or whatever. It's like it's a, you know, a behemoth. So I don't know. I would hope the economics work out to where I would never need to delete stuff or whatever, or at least if I do, it would be a long time before I had to or whatever. You know, it gives you like a giant warning. But yeah, I have to see where the economics work out on that. You know, I think I mentioned before, like I'm not making a ton of money on the game. I'm just trying to make enough to like support these servers and you know, buy groceries and a, you know, a desert island, a few yachts, yeah, you know, the standard stuff. Not really. I do it. Well, again, there will definitely still be the option to use, you know, just like load custom assets from local files or whatever. I'm certainly not going to require all assets come from the server. And also, I do want to be flexible with, you know, having like development assets or something that like can't be shared with everybody, but you could, you know, test it yourself. Like if you're uploading something, you know, if you did want to make a Goofy Mario character or whatever, I don't, you know, something where if I put some wall up where that's not like it's basically your own personal thing, you're not like sharing that publicly. Like I do want to support that, you know, to what I don't want to get in trouble for, you know, making it possible to share that stuff, but I do think it should be possible to kind of muck around with your own files, play those with friends maybe, you know, something like that. I'm thinking about the idea of like a dev team or something, just something where, you know, maybe on the Ballistica page, you just have like maybe if you come on here, there'll be like a dev team page here where you can just like invite friends or invite, you know, any number of accounts, and then like those people can see the things you built or something. So if you're just messing around with stuff that is not, you know, possible to share publicly, but you still want to just mess around with your friends or whatever, or just test it with your friends, like I feel like that should be possible. And then, like I said, local files should be possible too. So if you want to plug in some totally different system that maybe downloads assets directly or whatever, like that should be a possible thing too. I just want to, for the average person that just like opens the game, goes to the server list and like joins a server or pokes a game they want to play, like I want that to be as much under my control as possible so that it doesn't break, you know, if to whatever degree possible. So, ooh. I love these UIs that look like drastically different from the game, but still look like, oh, that's the game. Super cool. Oh yeah, so that's one technical nice thing with the new system is that it is using purely the V2 server, which makes it a whole lot faster. So yeah, if you go in here and buy something, previously it had to basically talk to the V1 server using your V1 account, which took a minute. And then the V1 server would like tell the V2 server like, oh, hey, they bought this thing. So then the V2 server would update your inventory there or whatever. But now it's just like, it just talks directly to the V2 server, which is much more efficient. So if I want to like buy this, it's like, yeah, you can see it goes through pretty. I mean, for me, it's instantly because I'm not far from the servers. You guys might have a little more latency if you're overseas or whatever, but it still should be faster. There's still stuff I want to do with this whole like doc UI thing, like caching. I want to have it where like if it's loaded the store and then you close out, like it doesn't actually have to like re-download it again. Like for me, every time I do this, it's like re-downloading this file from the server, which happens real fast for me, but again, it might not happen as fast from other places or whatever. But I'd like to have it like if you've downloaded this recently, it'll just like display what you already had. It does that in some cases, like if you go in here and then you hit back, see it just like redisplays what you already had. So like that's how caching should work. So that'll just be like built on top of the whole like doc UI thing. So if we're building UIs in the game, they'll just like behave smoother. Racing has 25 ticket. I think I set racing to be like super cheap, just to give people something to buy at the start. Um, Again, I guess I could run A/B tests or whatever and see what works best. But yeah, it's tricky. Like I feel like I was reading that a lot of game companies or game studios they would hire like economics majors to help craft their game economies, because there is a lot to it. I think in terms of like a lot of players get a lot of currency and then like they run out of things to buy, or some players might find it hard to get currency at the beginning and then the game's boring because they got to grind for half a day before they can buy anything. And then it's like how do you keep everyone happy? Wanted to know, what are you currently focusing on? So I've been joking that I've been on like side quests for a while now, which is kind of true. This store has been one of the side quests, and I have 2 side quests left. The next one is my little partnership thing that I need to finally finish up. I was supposed to be done with this a month or 2 ago, but better late than never. And then the second thing is the new server list. Like that seems pretty urgent. So basically what that means is, I'm going to gather the public party list here. So this will be replaced with something that's just a bit more modern and organized, and also a bit more secure, like strict. So you'll have to, if you're hosting, your hosting will have to be associated with your V2 account. There'll be kind of a reputation system, stuff like that. It'll be like more verified. So you can't like do trickery, like spoof people's servers. Also, it will require all accounts to be V2 accounts, which that means it should get rid of all the spoofing that's happening, because all the spoofing, even though people are technically spoofing someone's V2 account, they're spoofing the V1 portion of it. This keeps coming up. Like if you spoof someone's PB ID, you're spoofing their V1 account. So if you join it, people have been able to figure out how to spoof those PB IDs or spoof those V1 IDs and join servers as someone else. This should get rid of all that, because if the server is like verifying the V2 account, like that stuff should be actually done correctly and secure and things like that. Not that I'm great at security, but I at least like know what I'm doing now. When I wrote the V1 stuff, I just had no idea. So turns out security is important. I always tell this story that when I first was making the game, I was like, I'm not going to worry too much about security or whatever. Like who's gonna like invest that much time and energy in like hacking a silly game? And it turns out the answer is a lot of people. I think you should the gravitational scale attribute by myself. Yeah, I'd say go for it if you want to mess around with it locally. Just we can't really put it in a pull request or anything. Or, we can't actually add it for everyone until like 1.8. But if you'd want to like put that together and like put it behind like a Boolean flag or something and just like have it be disabled, then once we have to break the protocol anyway for 1.8, then we could just like flip that on. Bad phone call. Nice. Phone jump scare, yes. Yeah, friends list is definitely on the to-do list. That's probably more like a 1.9 thing. Like basically once I finally get these 2 side quests done, then I'm going to hopefully finally wrap up 1.8, and then we can move on to the fun stuff in 1.9, which is basically squads mode and like social stuff. So just like making friends list, inviting friends to your party, playing games with your party, stuff like that. Or squad. I guess I'm gonna start referring to it as squad. Party. It's already kind of called party in the game, which basically just means like it's almost this weird interchangeable term that almost if you join a party, you're basically just like connecting to a server. It's not like in the upcoming world, like squad is going to be this like thing, this concept that like lives on the master server. It's not like associated with a single piece of hardware or anything like that. So it'll be kind of a different thing. So I'm going to call that squad. The upcoming stuff is squad. The existing stuff is party. So that's, I'm going to try to like use those terms to, clarify one versus the other. Ooh, nice. Looks good. Battle Royale and BS. This is something we talked about briefly, I think like last time. I was mentioning like I have no plans to like make a Battle Royale in BS, but I would like to make it possible to make Battle Royale in BS. And that is like as part of the 1.9 stuff, like what I'm planning on doing is like, I still need to come up with a better name for them, but I'm just calling, like for now I'm just calling them leagues. Whoa. But basically, leagues will just be like a scriptable game environment, So like right now, like I'll be calling this Bomb Squad Classic, and that will be one league. So everything in this experience is part of that league. All the co-op campaigns, the tournaments, the league rankings, all that is part of Bomb Squad Classic. And so it'll be possible to make other leagues. And what sort of gameplay happens within those leagues, or how people are matched up, or whatever. Like I would love all that to be scriptable, because I'd love to make different. Like myself, I'd love to make different leagues, just like a casual play league, or maybe some like super strict ladder league or something. And so there could also be a league for like Battle Royale, where like everyone like you join the league and it just like puts you in a giant game where. Maybe it's just like 4-on-4s or something, like a quick round, and then it whittles down, and then it goes to the next 4-on-4, and so. Even though it's not technically everyone on one giant map, it could still have like Battle Royale aspects of like a giant tournament, a giant real-time tournament where a bunch of people are whittling down to a few people. So I'd love for that to be possible to make. So that's my overall design plan for 1.9 is to have that like, again, I'm just calling them leagues, but if I think of a better name, or if you think of a better name, let me know. It's not really play modes. We already have things like app modes and stuff. There's too many things that like share terms. They're like very similar. It's a cool idea, like a dedicated app for creating mods. In a way, like, I don't know, this is something I don't have a ton of time to work on myself just because I'm very spread thin. I would love to, at some point, get like the workspaces interface here to be a little bit more full-featured. Like if you come in here and make a mod, like hopefully there will be buttons to just like play this mod or test this mod in game or whatever. I should be able to like the website like ballistica.net should be able to see that like you have a running instance of the game, and so you should be able to like write stuff in here and have that interact with your running game. I mean, you already kind of can do that with there's like the devices screen here. But it's just kind of extending that to the whole workspaces thing. So the idea of like you're just writing a mod with Python and then like testing that live somehow. Like I'd love to play with that concept. That being said, I don't really have time to make like a whole editor. Just like I know like Warcraft 3 back in the day had like this awesome map editor, and so everyone would like use that and make all these crazy games just using that. I mean, probably I assume big games or some games out there still have like map editors and awesome creation environments. I don't think I would have time to make like something like that myself. I'd be open to like, hopefully at some point standardizing an API so maybe someone else could if they wanted. Like that'd be super cool. Like people are always showing off like such awesome, like you're all doing such awesome stuff here with making little apps and UIs and things. I'd love to like support people that might wanted to make like a game editor, but it's probably not something that I could do to a high degree myself realistically with everything else I'm trying to get done. But yeah, I honestly, yeah, Warcraft 3 is a big reason why Bomb Squad exists, because I I didn't make a ton of mods myself, but I loved playing those mods. I loved playing. I never got very good at Warcraft 3 itself. I was more of an original StarCraft person, but I loved all the little, yeah, like Dota type games that like spawned out of that. I loved playing all those. So that was kind of inspiring to me to start tinkering with Bomb Squad, just to make something where people could, come up with new interesting spins on gameplay. So there's for stuff like, I mean, if you maybe like the globals node is, it's kind of like global stuff. So if you're talking about like gravity scalars, I would just put something on the globals node, just like gravity molt or something, if I'm understanding you correctly. Ooh, are you not? Is everyone else seeing the stream okay? Oh, no, no, no. Oh, shoot. Looking good for everyone? All right. Huh, maybe my internet was wonky for a moment. One second, let me... every so often, hopefully that's not the case here, because I don't know what I will do if so, but... okay, we're good. Every so often, like my Ethernet adapter that I'm using, it it glitches out, and instead of being like 2500, it comes out at like 100 base T. So it's basically like the slowest possible Ethernet, which is probably way slower than like Wi-Fi. So just wanted to make sure that didn't happen, but it seems to be okay. Gravity scalar implemented in Python for now. That could work. The one thing that scares me a little bit about that is using Python for, a gravity scalar seems like something that is probably going to get evaluated a lot. So if it would have to like run Python code every time, gravity is getting evaluated for every physics object, like that sounds very scary to me. But maybe there's maybe ways that it could, if it's evaluating it once per step or something like that. Like that's probably okay. And again, for like networking to work right, usually, we can't execute Python code on the client, obviously, for security reasons. So basically, it would need to like execute on the server, set an attribute on something, and then those attribute changes would filter down to the client. That's basically how the networking works. Is Python mucks with things on the server, on nodes, attributes, connecting attributes, creating, destroying nodes, whatever. And then like all those changes filter down to the clients. So even if there's Python code running on the server that is like tweaking gravity scale or whatever, like that's totally cool. But we probably couldn't have like Python code running, dynamically for every physics object, even on the clients, because for one, that would mean we'd have to run untrusted Python code on the clients, and that's a big no-no. If that makes sense. Touche. Yeah, no, I know. V1 is terribly broken. I'm making no, I'm not attempting to hide that. Like I said earlier, I wasn't caring about security when I wrote it, didn't really know what I was doing. I'm pretty sure V2 is done right though, so I don't think there's any vulnerabilities that I'm aware of with V2 accounts. I've been very strict with that stuff. Like if you sign in with a V2 account through Google Play or whatever, it is very strict that it always, my server talks to Google to be like, hey, is this, it's doing things the right way, like server-side verification, making sure you are who you say you are, stuff like that. With V1 accounts, there was a lot of really not shady stuff, but basically, like you tell the V1 system, like, what's your account ID? And you tell it and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So that means if you steal someone's account ID, you can basically spoof them very easily, which, not a good design. But again, that's why that stuff should, it's largely, well, not largely, the server list and joining, the V2 server list should hopefully be the nail in the coffin for that stuff. And then the poor people left with older versions of the games will still have to deal with spoofers. But if you, at that point, if you're running the latest version of the game, spoofing should be hopefully history. My vote would be, because I feel anytime I try to like set up a mod, it always takes me a moment, just because sometimes it's maybe not tested on Mac or something, or I'm just doing something stupid, or I run into like weird Mac specific things where the game will no longer launch because it thinks it's been modified. So my vote would be, why don't we plan on, if you got something ready to play, why don't we plan on doing that at the next Coffee with Eric? And I can take some time before then and just make sure it's working on my end. If that's cool with you. We haven't done any mods in a while, so like that would be super cool. So I'm expecting we'll probably have one more Coffee with Eric before Christmas in the next few weeks here. Can I update Bomb Squad 1.4 mods to API 9? Yeah, it just takes a bit of work. There's 1.4 is pretty old at this point, so you'll have probably lots of things to change. I think 1.4 even had the old like naming scheme, right? Like everything was camel case. Now it's all Python style underscores. Which I used to hate underscores. Like to me it looked all weird, but now I'm totally used to them, so camel case looks all weird. But there's still other languages that use camel case, so it's conflicted. I still occasionally, I'll be going through like the C++ code in Bomb Squad, and occasionally I'll find like a camel case variable that I missed. But yeah, camel case is, whoops. For anyone who doesn't know, camel case is, and Python now uses snake case. So yeah, kind of the two different styles of variables for different languages. Python, the official Python guidance is to use snake case for variables. And then classes, whoops. Yeah, so like class names and things like that, it's still camel case, but like with actually, is that called camel case or just when the first letter is capitalized? I don't know if that's called camel case. I think camel case is where the first letter is not. So I forgot what this is called. Sorry, getting off on a random tangent here. Oh yeah, talking about 1.4 mods to API 9. So yeah, everything is possible. You'll just, like you'd have to, I don't know how much of that is in the change log, but yeah, you would just have to, everything used to be much more monolithic. Like there was like a single, was like bsui.py, and now if you come in and like take a look at the UI stuff, there's, yeah, tons of, like all of this stuff. Maybe not, I don't remember how it was laid out, but yeah, like so much of this stuff was just one giant Python file. I'm surprised it didn't cause problems with the Python parser or something, but it's a testament to how well that works, I guess. But yeah, so during 1.5, that was a big effort, is to like break everything down into mostly small-ish files. Like I'm aiming for like less than 1,000 lines per file. There's some that are bigger, but mostly not. Because with all like the modern like type checkers and linters and things like that, which are super handy, like I feel like those things would get way slow and unwieldy if you're using like a 10,000 line file or 100. I'm trying to remember the biggest file in BS 1.4. It was probably like 30,000 lines or something. Why did prop node have an exposed attributed gravity scale? Does it? It's been so long since I've touched any of the attributes. I assume if it has that, there was probably something in the game that was using that. I just don't know what. Unless that was a mod back, or unless that was like someone contributed that back in the day. But I wouldn't think so, because that would, like I said, things like that would break backwards compatibility. So I feel like I'd want to be very careful about accepting those. What's Dandy's World? And who thinks it's better than Bomb Squad? No, I'm just curious. Is there any way to get the Ballistica Kit Android? That is another thing on my to-do list, is to finally make the public repo be able to build the Android version. That's kind of a challenge because yeah, building Android apps is a bit more complicated than like building like a CMake app. So yeah, I'm hoping one of these days that would be another tangent or another side quest. It'd be like a fun side quest. Maybe after 1.8 is out the door, maybe I can take a little time and do that side quest as like an early 1.8 thing. Because yeah, I would love for people to be able to, yeah, make their own Android builds. Confused for the third. I think maybe I didn't sleep well last night or something. If I'm just like staring blankly at the wall, don't mind me. My coffee is not caffeinated enough. When will friend requests come in? Again, that'll be that'll be part of 1.9. So somewhere between 1.8 and 1.9. Like basically the whole like 1.8 life cycle will be just adding 1.9 features. So things like I would expect like basic squads to appear like early in 1.8.7 or something. I don't know. We'll see. Finally a water bomb. Yeah, that'd be cool. What if Bomb Squad was made using Unity? That is a good question. I've really never. I mean, I'm familiar with Unity. I haven't really used it. I don't know. I'm sure it would make certain things easier and certain things harder. I mean, Bomb Squad, like the Ballistica engine at this point, to me it feels very much like it's like the Millennium Falcon. It's just kind of this taped together thing that looks a bit junky, but I know it inside and out. So it's, yeah. But it's also, yeah, it's like I can't realistically compete with a multi-million-dollar company full of developers. But I think there's also upsides to being a single developer too. It's like you don't have conflicting visions, stuff like that. So, but I'm very much happy doing my own thing. So I don't expect me to drop what I'm doing and like rewrite Bomb Squad in Unreal or Unity or anything like that. If I were gonna do either, I feel like maybe Unreal would be more likely if I were gonna do anything, just because Unreal, like the rendering is so awesome. It would be kind of interesting to like take advantage of that. So essentially using Unreal for its renderer. But still, I don't know. I'm a big fan of having things be mostly like lightweight and just 100% tweakable. So I don't know. Boogie Bomb. Love it. See, this is what I'm talking about with like these kind of editors. Like that's so freaking awesome. I kind of feel like it's my job to support people that want to make stuff like that and not to try to make stuff like that myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's interesting to see gravity scale at work there. So yeah, if I'm trying to think like when we should definitely have some sort of powwow, like I said before, we break backwards compatibility with 1.8 just to see like what do we want to get in there in terms of attributes, things that would uh, make the most impact or let people do fun stuff. Um, would it be harder to mod with Unreal? See, I don't actually know too much of the answers to that. Like I'd also have to. I mean, there'd be a ton of questions in terms of like I've gone to like game dev talks, and some companies they use Unreal, but they only use like the rendering portion, and they still write like the physics layer themselves. I think stuff like that. So it would depend on like if Bomb Squad was doing something like that, where the physics was still completely written by hand. Or I'm sure Unreal has its own built-in physics, but then you might need to use their like editor to interact with that, or their scripting layers or whatever. So I don't know. There's a whole lot of questions in terms of like what that would look like. Um, but especially on that note, like on physics layers and things like that, I'm very stubborn in that like I like having low level access to all that. That's kind of is an interesting story. That's sort of why I started writing Bomb Squad. Is like I was tinkering around with rigid body dynamics. I was playing around in Maya at the time, which is a 3D app. I was learning. I was in school and learning visual effects and learning like Maya for doing particles and rigid bodies and stuff like that. And was experimenting with like doing like character animation in Maya using rigid body systems, making like rag dolls that would walk around, like sort of like Bomb Squad, but more for like animation. And I kept running into weird issues with like the simulations there. Like it wouldn't reset exactly, or it would be like a little bit non-repeatable, or I'd like save the scene and open it back up and it would work slightly different. There was just like so many infuriating little tiny things that weren't quite right, and I couldn't like see the source code to see what the problem was. So that I feel like that ingrained this attitude in me that it's like I really want to be able to see the low level code, like to pour through every bit and byte and see what's happening. So yeah, I feel like I wouldn't. I guess Unreal, it technically is open source, so I guess even if you're using the physics stuff there, like maybe you could get it at that low level stuff. So maybe that would be okay. But I feel something like Unity. I feel like Unity it's not open source, right? So I don't think I'd be willing to like try to build something complicated on top of like a physics system in Unity, because I'd worry about that kind of thing happening again, like just not being able to tweak something. And I hate I call it like jiggle the handle, like when something doesn't work and you don't know why, and you're just like changing things and just trying to like muck with stuff until it does work. I hate that kind of like programming, or it just feels so like broken to me. Like I much prefer to like if something's broken, I want to be able to like see what's broken and fix it. So anyway, random rant about physics or low level coding stuff, but. Ever played racing games? I mean, Mario Kart, of course. Everyone's played a good amount. Not everyone, but I've never played I played like a tiny bit of Gran Turismo back in the day. My brother was playing that, so I think I played a little bit with him. But I haven't played, or way back in the day, like my childhood, I played like F-Zero a lot, or I played like Super Nintendo era racing games. But I haven't played anything too much since then, racing wise. Unreal is source available, definitely not open source. Okay. I don't know if that would source available. So like they don't like you can you submit like a pull request to Unreal, or is it just like you can look at the source but you cannot attempt to modify anything? Like do you know how it works? Because I don't know if like that would be enough for me personally. If I could see the source but I wasn't able to do anything about it. Because I feel like that's an important part. Is like if you see something that's broken, being able to submit a fix for it. I mean, I guess you can do that sort of with closed source stuff, but with things like physics, it's so I don't know, so noodly, like, so it'd be hard to like demonstrate, like, oh, here's a video of me demonstrating this physics acting a little weird. Like, you can't, like, you have to be able to like look at the numbers and tweak things very low level. Tux Kart. I did. Did I play Tux Kart? Oh no, I think I'm thinking like Tux Racer. There was like this open source Linux game when I was first messing with Linux back in the day, like Tux Racer. Maybe it's still around, but you're just like a penguin sliding down a hill, and I remember playing that. It was kind of fun. It was one of the few things that was included, like game type things, like that was included with, I don't know, whatever Red Hat distro or whatever that was at the time. Yeah, I don't think I've played Tux Kart. That's interesting, though. Yeah, Tux Racer, yes. Aw. Oh man, this is getting me nostalgic. I remember, yeah, it was like 2000. I don't know. It was the first time I bought a PC. Actually, I bought it like a PC, installed Linux on it, and yeah, around like 2001 or 2002. So this is taking me back like 23 years. So glorious. It was a fun game at the time. I'm curious if that is still around, like Tux Racer. I kind of want to check, like if it's still maintained. Oh, well. 2001. Okay, well, not quite up to date, but close enough. Oh shoot, people unanswered questions. Feel free to repeat them with larger fonts if need be. How do I update? Let's get this. Did you grab that off the GitHub? You just do like a git pull to grab the latest stuff, or is that what you're asking? Oh, didn't. Oh, bye, Sock. I guess I missed. I missed him leaving. Okay, just post whatever I missed here. I probably missed like 5 things. Very good, very good. Okay, so yeah, go back to Unreal source code. I don't know if that would be. I'm not sure if that would be like good enough for me to. I mean, it's better than nothing, better than closed source, but still, it's like, I hope. I still, at some point here, I hope we get to the point where open source, like the open source portion of Ballistica, can be easily used to create like an offline game or whatever. Right now, it's pretty worthless without the internal bits. So if you're looking through, if you go to source Ballistica, which this is basically the C++ code, has all these feature sets, but there's this one here, plus, which is closed source, and the game is kind of useless without plus. Like, it can't do much right now, so I'm hoping at some point we'll get it to where you can build something interesting without plus. It's technically possible now. You would just have to kind of tinker around for a while. But what I was saying is, like, yeah, I hope being mostly open source is useful for the game, for the engine. Like, I hope some of you folks have been able to, get something out of it, or at least have some fun tinkering with it. I'm not on the loop. Asset package finished yet? No. I mean, yes and no. They are largely like all the pieces are largely in place. I just need to get done with my silly side quests and finish them. They can technically be used to like build static assets right now. Like you can put stuff into feature set. I did a demo for this like many months ago. You can or you can put stuff in an asset pack, like add some textures, and then it'll get built in the cloud, and the textures will get downloaded as part of your game build and stuff like that. So you can technically use them in a very limited way to create static assets. The one missing piece is the game won't download them dynamically. That's kind of the big last thing I got to do to get 1.8 done. Is so that like if you try to join a game that's using asset packs that you don't have, it will just download those. So it's not all the pieces like making the asset packs, compiling textures, all that stuff on the cloud, that's all there. Just need to get that last bit of like downloading stuff on demand. So yeah, if I answered that question at all, a little bit of work left, but mostly all the tech is in place. It's just everything takes me longer than I expect. So Tux Racer in arcades, what? That's so crazy. Like I wonder. Now I'm kind of interested like in the story of like Tux Racer. Was it like a studio, like a substantial studio that made that game and had big ambitions and made arcade versions, and then it just kind of, didn't get too far? But I thought it was just like some open source app, or unless like maybe someone made this arcade like for fun. I don't know. Yeah, so many questions. That would be cool to have like a Bomb Squad arcade or something. I know I showed you. I was bundled with that II arcade startup a few years ago. It was kind of neat to see the game on an arcade, but it was basically just the normal game. It wasn't like designed for an arcade or anything. Sadly, the startup didn't make it, so I still have the arcade in my other room, but they're not being made anymore. Oh, this sounds like an interesting question. Let's assume a company offered you $10 million for Bomb Squad. Will you sell it? Be wise while answering. I honestly don't. I mean, I would like to say no, but as like I don't want to. I've never been offered $10 million before, but also, I mean, for me, Bomb Squad is just like my hobby. It's my like I love working on it just for fun. I love that it's in a place where I don't like have to do it. I mean, well, I sort of have to do it for money, but it's like, but it very much, it feels like a hobby to me still. It feels like something I'm doing because I love. And so, I don't know. That's a weird question. It's like somebody saying like, if someone paid you $10 million, would you never do something you love again? Or like, if someone paid you $10 million for like a family member, would you give them, like just get rid of your family member? Or like, how much would you sell your little sister for, or something like that, Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, other people, and of course, then you can make the argument too. Like everyone has their price. Like, what if it was $100 million? Like what if it get like just utterly ridiculous? Like at some point, like I could find another hobby that's similar, but then I'd have $100 million. I mean, I don't think that's going to be happening, but I don't know. I don't think I would sell it, but yeah, is that an answer? Is that a reasonable answer? If I had a little sister, negative money. Okay, maybe the little sister. I'm trying like a family member that you love, like or your best friend. Like someone paid you $10 million to like you'd never see your best friend again, something like that. Something that is not or something you do because you enjoy it. Would you stop doing that thing? Euphoria ragdolls, like GTA 4. Again, I think Euphoria was awesome. I remember seeing all the videos of that. That to me, I feel like as much as I love physics and that stuff seemed to be super cool, it also seemed a little bit like one of those scary closed source physics things that I would probably fight with because I couldn't tweak stuff. So as kind of like limited and kind of janky as Bomb Squad's physics are, like I feel like I know why they're janky and I know how to make them better if I wanted to, you know? It's more just like keeping them cheap and um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. If I've mentioned this before, if you look into like Bomb Squad's ragdoll code, there's a lot of kind of optimization tricks in there. Like it's actually turning off and on a lot of joints, like all the constraints that are holding like an elbow together. It's actually in some cases it's turning those off and on every few steps, and that is purely to make it more efficient. Because when I was trying to get this thing to run on my iPhone 4, it's like it could barely handle like one ragdoll, and so I was just adding all this stuff to try to make that stuff cheaper. So basically, just kind of like turning constraints off and on stochastically, things like that, which did help a lot. I got the physics to be like a half or a third as cheap as they were, maybe something like that. But yeah, I did probably degrade the quality of the physics a bit. So at some point here, probably Scene V2, I will probably not do that trick anymore since everything is a lot faster now. We'll keep elbows turned on all the time. But that's kind of what I'm talking about, where it's like, I know, the physics might behave a little janky, but it's like I know exactly what is janky about it, and I can tweak that stuff. Whereas using something like Euphoria, it might give awesome results sometimes, but it's like I don't, especially if it's closed source, like I wouldn't probably be able to tweak it as much as I'd like, I'm curious, is that still around too? This is turning into like, let's see, whatever happened to Euphoria physics. Okay, yeah, so they're still making stuff. It looks like. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to read up more about. Cold here. Has winter arrived yet? Well, I'm in San Francisco, which it's Northern California. It gets a little cooler, so it does actually feel wintry here. But it doesn't get like cold wintry. There's like no snow or anything like that. But it does feel wintry. We just put up a Christmas tree yesterday, so it even though it's sunny and no snow out, it's feeling a little bit like that makes it feel a little wintry also. Ooh, roadmap seagull. What did I miss? Okay, I can pretty much guarantee I will get Betty on the store. Well, Thanksgiving, and we got friends coming for Thanksgiving. That'll keep me busy these next few days. But next week, hopefully, if I can get the stuff I need from SOC, we can get Betty up on the store. That would be super cool. I'm actually really curious to see like how many people grab or what the response is to like a new character. There hasn't been a new character in so long. It'd be interesting to see like how many people grab the new character versus it's just been the same set forever. Betty today. I don't think I can do Betty today. I have to go. I gotta go do some grocery shopping. Well, I'll get this video up, and then I gotta go do some Thanksgiving shopping. So I have to get. I gotta get cranberry sauce in a can. There's a specific type of cranberry sauce, though. Yes, like this cranberry sauce. Like you get it in a can. It's like this quivering chunk of gelatinous redness. It's so good though. Do any of y'all eat cranberry sauce, or is that just like an American thing on Thanksgiving? Well, anyway, yeah, this gelatinous cranberry sauce, best thing ever. So I got to go find some of that later today. So that will unfortunately delay getting Betty here up on the store, but cranberry sauce is important. No, I gotta. You see why I seem tired today, because I don't have cranberry sauce. I need to get cranberry sauce. Coffee is not enough. You need coffee and cranberry sauce. Oh yeah, IKEA meatballs. Yes. I feel like the red the sauce they have, is that cranberry sauce or is it just like lingonberry sauce or something? But whatever it is, it's very similar and it's delicious. Yeah, lingonberry. I always call it like dingleberry jam, but that's no, it's lingonberry. Ooh, cranberry flavored coffee. That I could see that being good. Wait, where? Can Man, when I click to go a place, like it takes me there, but then I have to like search through the entire thing. They need to like have it flash or something, or maybe I'm just getting old and I'm bad at computers now. Okay. You've never seen that can of Jello before. It's okay. I won't judge people who have not seen Quivering cans. It's not Jello. It's like jelly. Decui berry, yes. Yeah, see, when like I was saying for the name, the reason I changed it from, well, I'm glad you all harassed me about changing it from Cloud UI, because even though that made sense originally, because I was using it to like grab stuff from the cloud, like I think it's better to have a name that doesn't have cloud in it. I think you're right about that, because then people know they can use that to build things locally. But yeah, then I changed it to DECUI, Decui, but which to me that stood for declarative UI, because that's kind of what it is. It's sort of like you're making this declarative UI, you're just like building this hierarchy of data classes, and then that gets transformed into UI. But for me, that like it looked a little weird, like Desui. Like I wanted to pronounce it in weird ways in my head. So the final version is DocUI. So I just changed the E to an O. So, to me, it kind of fits, because basically I feel like you're like building this document of just like this hierarchy of stuff. So it feels fitting. So it's just called DocUI, which is a layer that lives like currently on top of UI v1. If you want to mess with it, just look for DocUI. Go to source assets, badata, Python. Whoops. Yeah, BAUI v1 lib should be in here. Oh yeah, there it is. So yeah, DocUI stuff. Also in the game, if you want to mess with it, go to bring up down the dev console and go to DocUI test. It'll bring up this goofy window, which just shows a bunch of like stuff you can do with it. So yeah, there's examples here for like ones that could be interesting. It's like WebGet. WebGet and WebPost, basically what these are doing is it's just making a request to my web server, and the web server is returning some DocUI data. So, essentially this is acting like a very, very simple like HTML page. And this is basically exactly what the store is. So it's going through the V2 transport connection and not HTTP, but still it's basically the same thing. It's when you poke the store, it's just like sending a message to the nearest regional server. The regional server returns the store. So it can be like dynamically updated and all that fun stuff. I'm thinking of making another button here on that note, just like a DocUI bookmarks or something. So if you wanted to make like a list of, if you wanted to make your own like DocUI server or have your web server serve DocUI, then you could just like add it to your bookmarks here. So you could just make like your own, I was thinking of doing that. It would let you make your own little UI here for just whatever you wanted to do in the game, I guess. We'd have to expose like local functionality, like launch a game or whatever. Obviously we would want to keep that limited. We don't want a web server to be able to like run arbitrary Python code on the client and stuff like that. So it would need to be careful there. But we could have a web server, tell the client like, hey, run this game with these settings, or something that would be safe. So I kind of feel like that might be a fun little like mini side quest one of these days. Anyway, sorry, random tangent. I'm back. When level system will be realized? So you're talking about like experience gaining levels and stuff. That's, I assume. My plan for that is Originally, I was going to add that as part of, like when I was revamping the toolbar here, if you remember, there was like a level here, like experience and level. I was thinking of adding that as part of classic here, but I'm kind of thinking I probably won't have that be part of classic, but that will probably be part of all upcoming stuff like squads mode or any other like leagues that get made. Like my plan for 1.9, when 1.9 rolls out, I'm basically just going to start building an initial like league, which will just be like Bomb Squad League, which essentially be it'll be classic but designed for like squads play, and I fully expect that to have levels and experience or whatever. I think that would be a fun thing to play with. So yeah. So anyone else who builds leagues will also be able to incorporate levels and experience or whatever. I'm making a rule for myself that when I'm building the league stuff, I'm going to do it completely in a way that anyone else could make the exact same league. So like I want it to be all through like the workspaces system and stuff like that. So that should get a lot more interesting for you folks, because you'll be able to basically, like, if you want to make a league that is just like the default squads league, you can just fork mine and make your own crazy variations or whatever. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. It's also a good opportunity for dog fooding, as they say. So they always say that's healthy, is like use your own tools to build stuff, because that's how you make them not suck. you hit all the pain points and realize like what needs to change. Talk about making the story UI and rest actually look visually pleasing. Sure, yeah. Any feedback you have, fire away. I've been my first order of business was getting like something up and running, like getting the technical in place. But now that is the case, like yeah, certainly if we can make it look prettier, I'm for it. Oh, bye, Starting Bat. Have a good one. Side button don't fit in. Oh, like the page right left buttons? Icons be at least 3 rows. I could split them apart. We could split them apart into like, like flag icons, other icons or something. Are there icon, like, do you have an example of a UI that has like a scrollable list with like 3 rows? Like, to me that seems like I should just go with like a grid if that's the case, which we certainly could do. I would just need to like write a grid element for doc UI. So I wanted to avoid tabs, basically, because tabs like basically limits the total number of things you can have. Like with, I would certainly be down to having like browse buttons or something like that. Like if there's a lot of stuff and people don't want to scroll, like it could just be like characters see all, or whatever. If there's a reason to just like go to a page that's just full of everything. My thought though is like going forward, the store might be more like varying. Like it wouldn't always be the same set of stuff. It might be like a smaller set of stuff. So maybe the rows wouldn't be super long anyway. Or like I said, breaking things apart into rows. So we could have like, flag icons or cheap icons, fancy icons. I don't know. So it'd be like 3 separate scrollable rows or something like that. So yeah, the icon section is pretty huge. So I could break that into a few rows. I mean, I could also, my thought is just, I could make it a grid, but my thought is if everything was a grid, then basically, yeah, you need tabs. Um, and I mean, we could do tabs, I suppose, if that is really the best thing to do. But I kind of feel like there's something fun about just being able to like browse through and see everything kind of casually too. So I don't know. Also, one minor thing is, I'm trying to kind of design the small UI so that you can kind of bounce through these different kind of areas at the bottom. In squads mode, like one of these might actually be like a play area or something to where, this is almost just like switching modes in the game. And for the new store, it's like this fits in better because it keeps all this stuff shown. With the old store, there was like tabs up here, and so there was less space for stuff to be visible. So I basically had to like hide all the other stuff. So it was a little bit more weird. Like when you go to the store, like to get out of the store, you had to go close it and then go somewhere else. You couldn't just like flip back and forth, and now you can. So it's just another little thing to think about. So I feel like tabs kind of takes a chunk of space away in that regard. Maybe it's still worth having though. Or maybe like links up here. I guess that's effectively tabs. Like quick links just to get where you're looking, or yeah, that's a thought. Like if you just had like a table of contents up here and you click that and it takes you to that place or something, even if it's not necessarily a tab. Also, like like the maps tab always looked very lonely with that's my fault for only having one map in there, but I feel like it almost looks less lonely if you're just like scrolling through and like, okay, there's this thing with just one thing, but there's other stuff. Oh gosh, the fonts are getting bigger. Whoa. All Agent Johnson. No, there's other stuff too. Dang, so much. So many stats and stuff. Cool. Nice. It's cool to me to see like the pro communities and the folks with just like the super hardcore the servers with all the crazy stats, and it's awesome. Even though I feel like intimidated, like I'm sure I would just get my butt kicked like playing in those contexts. Make horizontal scroll widgets have a little border that they're fully contained in. Don't go out for the. We could certainly make these variations. Like I think originally the horizontal scroll was like that. Maybe I made it not that way at some point. I feel like I'm generally trying to always get rid of like extra like shading these days, just to. Like it used to be, like these scroll areas, they had real dark edges around them. I've tried to like soften that up just to kind of, to have less contrasting things. And I think it was the same at some point with horizontal scroll areas. I think they had like borders around them. I think they still clamp. I feel like if you make a H scroll that is not the full width, I feel like it'll still clamp at the end, right? But it's not like, it doesn't draw any, I think it doesn't draw any like border around itself. We could make it do that if, I'd be totally happy. We could just add an option to like draw trough or draw shadow or whatever, or draw border. But yeah, for my part, I'm just trying to like, mostly keep the UI like H scrolls don't clamp; they just flow off the side of the overall scroll. But yeah, for things like UI, like we can because UI doesn't have any sort of like network compatibility stuff to worry about. Like if you want to add an option for any UI, like this would be a good example. I'm totally happy to accept PRs for that. You just have to add another argument to the big ugly UI function to either set that on new widgets or edit it on existing ones. The previous next pages be clayish squares. So I wasn't sure. Like I know I went with kind of a different UI on the next previous button. They look more, it's like not clay. It's just like magical thing floating. Whoops. I forgot this is my existing store version, which doesn't have those yet. So I know it doesn't exactly like fit the style, but I don't know. In my mind, it's almost like stuff that is like magical things floating above the clay UI doesn't necessarily have to be clay. Maybe it would look better as clay. Also, I was trying to make it transparent so it wouldn't like. I think this version is a little. Actually, let me make sure this is the latest. I was tweaking the values and stuff. Make Mac. Oh, I think I did that already, so it probably is the latest. I was trying to thinking of it as like almost this like magical thing over the top that's, well, but then again, like I guess the touchscreen controls, I mean, are those, like those aren't, my design for those, it's not like clay, it's just like kind of flat colors. My thought is like, this magical stuff that's floating over the UI is not necessarily clay. It's more like, in that case, just trying to be like as simple a design as possible for readability. So we could do these as clay, but my slight worry is then it would look almost like it's just like tacked on top of the button or something, I don't know, can think about it. To me, the idea of like a horizontal scrollable thing with multiple rows, that seems like it seems like it's almost a grid, but not quite. Like I can't think of any UI that does that. Like, am I wrong? I feel like if we want if we want multiple rows to show, we should just go with a grid and show everything. It would probably be like 4 or 5 rows. But maybe I'm just like not remembering something. Maybe that is a common thing and I'm just not thinking about it. Or maybe that would work okay. I don't know. It just seems to me like, there's always, like in text editing, there's 2 options. It's always like text flows off the screen or text wraps. There's never like or at least I don't think there is. There's never a line like text flows off the screen, but also sort of wraps, It seems like a weird like middle ground. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So like, oh, I get it. So you'd have like, yeah, clay borders for H scroll and then like buttons on the sides. Yeah, that could certainly work. Again, I feel like what I'm trying to get away as much as possible. I'm trying to get away from borders for scrollable areas and things like that, just to get more focus on the content or whatever. But I could see like that working also. It's kind of funny, things come full circle. Originally, like a long time ago, like all the scroll widgets, I think the horizontal scroll widget, it was more like the vertical one where it's like made out of clay and always showing. And actually a long, long time ago, there were just arrows at the top and bottom, just like old school scroll widgets. So technically, like these buttons used to exist. I mean, they were a little bit different because they were just, scroll left, right. These are essentially page left, right. So it's kind of funny how like what goes around comes around. But yeah, if I'm certainly open to the idea of visible borders with clay buttons at the end. It's just I'm not sure if I'd want to use them for this UI. Maybe there's some way to make this more subtle or something. Not sure. Oh, okay. Sorry for not answering. Wait, will all of the low-res unused spaz characters be turned into new completed characters if Old Lady becomes Betty? Or is that secret info? Probably not all of them, but some of them will. So that's now that we have the new store UI. Basically, it makes it a lot easier for me to like add new purchasable stuff. But right now, all that purchasable stuff will probably use the placeholder characters. So they won't like when Betty becomes available, when Betty's on the store, that just means like the placeholder, like the Old Lady placeholder stuff will become Betty stuff. I'm hoping that we will add some of the other ones in the nearest future. So it's not secret info or anything. I would love to add all of them, but I'd also love to get 1.8 done. And once 1.8 is done, then we won't need those anymore because 1.8 will just download what it needs. But the existing system, we can use those placeholders to add, a decent amount of stuff. There's quite a few placeholders in there if you've looked around. So Betty will use one. Probably some others will get used, but probably not all of them. But I can't say for sure. Maybe if I can or maybe we can get into a rhythm of adding a new character every few weeks or something. That'd be cool. Maybe we'll burn through all of them. That's the only bad thing is like there's only a finite amount. So once we've used those, like we couldn't add new characters until 1.8, unless we want to break compatibility. So I know the theme is goofy clay and all that, but still like I have been. Let's see, what was I going to show? I have been trying to minimize stuff. Like I feel like the scrollable areas here, like this UI used to just be a scroll area with you could see like a line going through here and stuff. I kind of feel like it looks better if there's not a line going through there. It's just having like the weird faded thing. I know maybe you find that weird or something, but to me it's like more readable with less lines going through stuff in general. So same with here. Like at some point there was probably a dark line going through here. If these had lines going through them, I know it's clay and all, but it's still like adding layers and lines and things like that. I feel like it still makes it more visually confusing. So I'm trying to minimize that to a degree. Like some of the stuff, like in the gather window, this stuff has always kind of been a bit busy. There's like this kind of shaded area and then more shaded areas. I toned down this one just to try to make it a bit more readable. These tabs are a little cramped looking. I guess that's just because I guess that's better. But not that this stuff is bad. It's just like I kind of feel like even though it's clay, it's if you minimize the kind of 3D lines and stuff, I feel like you notice what's there more. So yeah, just my opinion on design stuff. I kind of feel like that's a sort of a modern thing. If you look at old. Like in general with computers, like everything you used to see like the outlines and the edges a lot more. Like if you look at if you go back to I don't know what UIs used to look like. Like everything had raised and lowered areas. There was like lots of highlights and shadows around every button, and I feel like to modern sensibilities, this just looks like so busy. And you could say, maybe we've gone too far in the opposite direction with modern UIs, just like you can't tell what's a button or what's not. But just trying to keep this in mind where it's like, to me, that style looks a little bit like dated or busy or something, even if it is made out of clay or whatever, So just something I'm trying to think about. Yeah, it's all these questions like can clay be transparent? it there's like some laws of physics are getting broken a little bit. I haven't. To be fair, I haven't forgotten in a while. This one, it's getting recorded, as you can see up here. So we have a few that, yeah, you had to be there literally because they didn't get recorded. There was one where it wasn't my fault. It was, well, I guess it sort of was my fault, but like the audio didn't record for whatever reason. I think I had a new laptop. So I guess technically it was my fault. Like I didn't switch audio recording when I got the new laptop, so I just assumed it was recording. All right. So anyway, yeah, with the UI stuff, I don't know. I'm certainly want to be flexible. I do find some of this stuff is like I kind of feel like I need to like look at it for a while or step away from it and then look at it with fresh eyes. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, this looks stupid, and then I'll realize like, okay, I should change that. Or um, it's tricky to, or if you're used to something being one way and then it switches, like, I feel like everyone has backlash against that. Like, oh gosh, it's different. Um, but then after a while, like that, the different becomes the normal to a degree. Not saying that, that always happens, but yeah. Anyway, regardless, yeah, feedback is always appreciated. I would consider, yeah, options for how those buttons could look in other ways. But yeah, so I don't know. For me, it seems like there's this like maybe balance where like if you give yourself a grace period to try to like get used to something and then see how you feel about it, or just to kind of, I try to do that myself, like to filter out the like natural resistance to change, a little bit like. But then like you don't want the opposite effect too. You don't want to like get used to a bad system and then be like, oh, this is wonderful, So it's tricky. I don't know like where the right level is of feedback. Yeah, I feel like honestly, I think this is a good example is the Windows 8 UI. I feel like they did some really bold stuff with making everything super tablet centric and all that, but I feel like with any system like that, there's going to be tons of backlash, obviously, and I think I don't know, maybe they weren't they responded to that backlash and basically backed off of everything quite a bit, but yeah, maybe if they'd like stuck to their guns or like somehow rolled it out in a smarter way that like ticked people off less, like maybe they would have maybe that could have been played better and they could have actually like changed UI design significantly, or that could have been like great. I was reading about some stuff they had, which like I didn't use Windows 8 much. I had it on like a desktop, so it was kind of wasted there, but just some of the like the swipe gestures they had that sounded actually kind of intuitive, or it sounded like powerful, maybe not intuitive, but like if you got used to it, it would have worked well. But it certainly, yeah, it polarized a lot of people. That seems to happen so much with like everything. I think with games or any like passionate audience. If something changes, there's so much backlash. Um, I don't know. Like it's tricky. Like how do you deal with that? Like roll things out very gradually, or you just like throw it at people and like not listen to their complaints or criticisms. But then that can, like I said, criticisms and all that are useful too. So like how do you balance that? See, it's still polarizing. I don't. Again, I didn't use the Windows 8 UI enough to like have a strong opinion on it. It seemed like it could have been good for tablets or for actual touch UIs. It seemed like it could have been like a power user touch UI. I kind of feel like touch UIs they haven't really embraced touch nearly as much as they could. Especially on Windows, also even on like Apple stuff, even on iPads. Like a lot of people are complaining that iPads are kind of slowly turning into laptops. More like standard resizable windows and almost made to be used with a trackpad and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. It does seem a little bit like a wasted opportunity, but at the same point, if everyone is used to what they're used to, like, you kind of need to go there, I guess. Well, thank you, Billy. Kind words. Yeah, it's. I was reading. I don't know. I was reading an article about like Dvorak keyboard layouts the other day or something, saying like someone was talking about like why did more efficient keyboard layouts never catch on, and it was just talking about the different factors. I mean, number one, the fact that there's no way you're going to retrain everybody on Earth to use a different keyboard layout at this point. So it's like even if you could gain a few percentage points of efficiency, it's just like realistically that's impossible. I don't know. Kind of relates. Just little things where it's like lost opportunities to make things a little bit better, but realistically, like the status quo is a very powerful force, or just what people are used to is a very, very powerful force. Where did that go? Oh my gosh. Wait, where? Oh, there we go. New future maps. New future maps. I mean, my big thing that I would love in future maps is, I was mentioning earlier, like dynamic maps in some way, things like bridges that could go up or down, or, little, I don't know, some sort of walls that could be destroyed or something like that. Just, or, little, I don't know, some little like gun turret you could get on, just something where it's like a part of the map that's a bit more alive. Yeah, I'd love to make that happen at some point here. Some of that, requires new tech, but I'm trying to think if there's specific like map designs. I've had a few ideas, just like interesting ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I don't know, just weird ideas, like, I don't know, like two rows like facing each other, where maybe with walls or something, where essentially it would just be like a big, you'd all just be throwing bombs at each other, but you couldn't actually get to them very easily or something. So it could encourage certain play styles, or just kind of make for slightly different gameplay. I'll have to make one of those at some point soon. I keep wanting to just like push through and get the new build pipeline done, and then start making stuff that way. But there's that part of me that just wants to like make a few things using my old janky pipeline, just because it works. But I want to push towards the future too. Yeah, something like that, like a bridge that falls when there's enough damage. Like maybe it would respawn or something like that. That could be cool. Like, like a bridge, maybe it's like a shortcut to get to their flag or something like that. But like one bomb blows it up, so you have to be like careful to only do it if someone's not waiting there, or, something like that. Or a button that would like make the bridge drop. So if someone's guarding the button, like you can't use the bridge, but if you take out the person guarding the button, then you could use the bridge. Stuff like that. Like fun little factors that could change things up. Oh my gosh, Jenga map. That would be super cool. Like, yeah, having like a map where like everything was dynamic. If like right now, I feel like the physics system as it is would choke on something like that. If yeah, like if part of the map is always moving, or like a rotating platform, like I feel like that would kind of glitch out the current physics system. So that would be an improvement to the physics system necessary there. But I think that would be awesome, yeah. Or conveyor belts, or yeah, whatever other fun stuff. Oh, the plan is for next session. So like I will, yeah, one of these remaining weeks before Christmas. Like let's have a coffee with Eric before Christmas, and let's plan on doing that then, because I'd like to just make sure it's all working on my end first and stuff. Or maybe we can post something on here and everyone can download it, just so everyone's ready to go. So yeah, why don't we plan on doing that? It's been a while since we have done any sort of mods or anything, so that'd be fun. Yeah, it seems like people have done some amazing stuff with like hacking prop nodes and things like that. It's more like if you're using prop nodes as part of the map. I feel like having for certain things, having like client prediction and kind of just like having the low level physics be a little bit smarter. Like I think that would just make them behave a lot better. So I've been hesitant to try to do big things like bridges or things that are like moving around on their own, because I kind of feel like that would just like glitch out the physics. If you're walking on that, your character would just be like glitching out all over the place on network games. Well, it's good to do different stuff. I should I feel like I should make myself do a little side project thing, or just like learn something else. But my problem is I'm worried if I do that I'll get sucked into something for like 2 months. The last thing I did was a few years ago. I got sucked into like making this little AR app for my phone that I'd still like to like wrap it into Bomb Squad or Ballistica or whatever, just to use it to like put together 3D maps or something like that. But it totally like sucked up all my time for like several months. So I'm a little scared to do something like that, like start playing with Unreal or something like that, just to learn about it. But it would also probably be good for me. Whatever. Every character. Yeah, this comes up with. It would be interesting to like make hats or something. Like I feel like only some characters could support them, but that would be fun. Yeah, just like a Christmas hat on. I don't know. Whichever characters don't have hats right now. Like unfortunately Mel, I'd have to like redesign him, or like remodel him without his hat. Or maybe not. I mean, maybe I could just remodel him where that's like his default hat, but you could like switch his hat. But then again, I don't know if would Mel become unrecognizable without his chef's hat. Like I guess that's the question. Or maybe he could just have like themed chef's hats. Just like a chef's hat that has like a little like Santa Claus puff on it or something. I don't know. Yeah, totally. If you want to just send me the info or just post them here. Yeah, if it's public, just post the stuff here and we can all like, because it'd be great. Like I'd like to get it, but it'd be great if other people could too. So yeah, if you want to, yeah, send it to me or just put it here somewhere, whatever you think. Cool. Will that be the version we'll use next time, you think, or do you think there'll be any changes in the next few weeks? Cool, cool. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Looks like you're well prepared with. I feel like usually it's just like data files and you got to do like some assembly required. At least I guess that's the last few mods I've been doing. But it looks like you got. Maybe that won't. Maybe I won't have to do any testing. It'll just like work. No head, no hat. Nice. Yeah, we could have his hat like blow off when he dies. Just like his hat is just like rolling away. Be very emotionally poignant. Cool. I'll try to like give everyone a week's notice or whatever. It'll be one of these upcoming weeks. I'll try to do the last one before Christmas, but yeah, let's try to like make sure everyone grabs the latest and greatest before we get going then. Badata. It's so much fun to say. Badata. Oh, daily chess time. I am trying to remember how this is set up. It is not. It's not global because I didn't want it to be weird for people that live like close to the date line. I didn't want him to like suddenly get like a new day chest at like 2 p.m. or something. Um, I think what it currently does is I think when you first play the game, it records that time as the middle of the day for you, and so it basically sets your day boundaries as 12 hours before or after that. Um, I don't know if that's a good or bad system. Maybe I could make it smarter about like detecting where you are and just using local time. That might be the smarter thing to do. But then again, like that would be weird possibly for people also who play late at night. So well, but maybe not. Like once it passes midnight, if you get a new daily chest, I guess that's reasonable. But yeah, right now it's based on like when you first played. It just like locks in like that is 12 hours off of your day boundary. Yeah, I can look into like if it seems like at this point I might be able to mostly figure out where in the world people are. Um, like at least down to like the continent or something, which is probably close enough. So maybe just using local time would be fine. Because the downside of my current system is like if you happen to launch the game at like a weird time for the first time, it'll then record that, and then you're getting like weird day boundaries. My thought was like if most people are like playing games at like 5 in the evening or something like that, that's likely when they would launch it, and so then the boundaries would be based on that. So this is something I like with game or movie physics. It's kind of funny. This would be something that would happen back when I was at Pixar. Is you'd get some people coming in and you know setting up physics simulations or whatever for scenes, and they would do it with real world units. And I feel like something that you learn very quickly is like you just can't do that. Like you gotta if you're aiming for something to look good, you just gotta like tune it based on what looks good. Some of that was being at a place like Pixar where everything is exaggerated and cartoony, but if you look at some rigid body system happening in the background of some animated scene, the gravity might be set to like 10 times what Earth gravity is, or it might be 1/10 of what Earth gravity is, or it's totally dependent on the camera or whatever. So in this case, in the game, it was just dependent on like, hey, what looks good. Um, like I don't think, nothing in Bomb Squad simulations is based on like real world sizes or units or anything else. I found the one thing that is sort of important with rigid body systems is keeping numbers small, like with floating point values, because so trying to use numbers that are between 1 and 100 or whatever. So you don't want to do crazy stuff like have all of your scene objects be over at like 500,000 slash or like 500,000 units off to the side, because then once those numbers get big enough, then the floating point calculations start to kind of go wonky and your simulation starts to explode. So I feel like the important thing with simulations like that is just keep all the numbers small in a small range, close to zero, but never worry about like, is this the actual meters per second that gravity would be accelerating things or whatever. So anyway, long story long, I don't know where that number came from, but it's most likely just like, oh, hey, that looks good. Oh, did I do this accidentally? I I'm pretty sure I know what I know the A113 reference, but I've never like I did not do that on purpose. If I did, I did. I think having client IDs start at 113. I think that might have been on purpose, but or there's definitely some cases in the game where it starts IDs like at a non-zero value, and I think the reason for that was just to make sure that, like make sure the values did the right things when they wrapped around like 256 or something like that. So I don't know if it would have been 113, but there's definitely cases where like I have the first value be like 252 or something like that because I just wanted to make sure that things behave once they pass 255 and go back to zero or whatever. So this might have been something similar, the 113, but I'm not sure. Oh no! Okay, that sounds good. Snowball skirmish is... What is snowball skirmish? Was that part of the original? Oh, okay, cool. I do, yeah, that sounds like it's fun. In general, I've enjoyed like the projectile-based mods that people make. Like because it's something that like the game you could say it has projectiles like throwing bombs, but it's not like normal projectiles like shooting. It's like a different feel. So I enjoy. I don't know if snowball skirmish is that sort of thing, but I do enjoy the mods people have where you're able to like shoot little fireballs around and stuff like that, just because it's a different feel. He doesn't believe me. Unless, yeah, maybe it's like a Pixar thing. It's like some sort of like they implant a chip in your brain and like it just causes you to like insert A113 references into things. So that could be the case. But all those references at Pixar, they were A113, all that stuff. It was always references to like classrooms at Cal Arts, which is where a lot of the like directors and the animators went to art school. And I didn't go to Cal Arts, so I feel like I do not have like that allegiance to Cal Arts and like all these inside joke Cal Arts things. Ah, I feel like that would be unfair though. I mean, is a streak really a streak if you did actually let it end but then got it restored? Like it's a bummer, but I feel like if it were like an internet issue and like you were trying to like get your streak but then it wasn't working, like maybe there's an argument there, but yeah. It's one of those weird principle things, like when people are, I'm sure it's jokingly half the time, but people are like, hey, can I get some free tickets or whatever? And I generally, I don't on principle, I don't give people free tickets because it's unfair. It's not because I'm trying to be like a greedy, stingy person. It's more just like it's not fair to the people that grind to get the tickets or whatever, I try to at least only do it if there's, as a thank you for something else or whatever. But even though it like technically costs me nothing to give someone tickets, it's still just like it's on principle. It just doesn't feel right, Oh, that's cool. I do. Oh man, one of these years I've been wanting to do this for a while as a holiday thing. So maybe soon here now that 1.8 and downloadable stuff and all that is coming out, and new like Scene V2 and stuff. I would love to have like a snowy level. We're running over time. I'll have to stop here. But one of my favorite games back in the day was Donkey Kong Country, and like one of my favorite levels of that. It was, oh my gosh, that game was so awesome back when I was like 12. It was all like CG. I mean, it's for Super Nintendo. It was all sprites, but it was like CG baked into sprites, which was the coolest thing ever because I thought computer graphics were like the coolest thing ever. Donkey Kong Countries. But there was that one particular level. Oh my gosh. This was so... Yeah, like this level with just like all snowy, and then it started snowing like more. The more you went through the level, it got like snowier. Had all this like cozy music. Oh, best thing ever. So yeah, I'd love to, for Christmas one of these years, it'd be awesome to have like a super cozy snowy map or something. Oh, look at it. I still listen to the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack a lot. It's just like it's just so tranquil. Look, it's snowing even more. Like you can barely see anything. So much snow. All right, I better stop before I get like a copyright strike on this video. All right, let's check this out. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love the... No, I love this too. I feel like this like nails the like realistic clay look. Love it. Cool, cool. Yeah, it's like, oh, these little... Anytime there's like fingerprints in clay, I love it. Okay, yeah, that's... Well, shoot. I do feel a little guilty if you lost your streak by accident by not knowing like when your cutoff time is. Okay, well maybe I'll put it on my to-do list to try to figure out like local times for people, or maybe you could like override that in your account settings. Like that might be reasonable. Though I'll have to make sure I code defensively there, because people, you know, make sure there's no exploits like changing your time zone like forward and back and forward again to try to like get more daily chests or something. Make sure that's not a possibility. Yeah. Well, again, it's consistent for every person right now. It's just like what the cutoff is based on when you first played. So again, yeah, not probably not ideal in all cases. So maybe I could take the current system and just expose that, like it would guess. Well, no, it should just use local times, and maybe make that editable in account settings. Yeah, you're right. It probably something like that would be the right way to do it, where like you could change your time zone around all you wanted, but you'd only ever get the day reward once. Yes. All right. Side quest number 3. Now, I feel like this doesn't qualify as a side quest. This is more just like almost like a bug fix or a reasonable little thing to spend a little time on. Because yeah, there could be got to account for the fact that yeah, anyone could be, you know, flying from one time zone to another, or you know, whatever, your time zone can change from anything to anything. So need to have it be resilient against that. Skate impact sounds. Okay. I do need to like look into that and see, like, again, I vaguely remember turning those off for some technical reason, and maybe I forgot to like turn it back on or fix the technical thing. But yeah, it's been too long without those. You are right. All right, well, on that note, we are past the 2-hour mark, so I guess we didn't... We'll get some good playtime in next Coffee with Eric to make up for the fact that we didn't this time, even like vanilla stuff. So, all right, let's see. What stupid stuff did we talk about today? We need a title for the episode. Any ideas? Jeez. Sort of Dandy from Dandy's World. So what is this? Ooh, cool. So what is Dandy's World? I am not familiar with. Maybe you mentioned this already. Drunken Spaz Dandy Squad. Okay. Dying on the Hill that is the current UI design. That's a very long title. I sense a little grumpiness in that title, but okay. So, all right. Anyway, I'll come up with something, but e-begging chat feed direct. Oh no. Well, no longer this. Okay. Well, anyway, folks, it's been fun chatting. Yeah, I'll get back to a bit more UI polish. Hopefully, finishing up my side quests and then getting back to 1.8. Aside from that, yeah, we'll reconvene in a few weeks. We should have one more coffee with Eric before Christmas, and yeah, excited to try out the stuff. If you can get the snow level in there, that'd be great. No pressure. So, all right, well, I will see all you guys in the next episode. Yeah, sometime before Christmas, we will do it. So, all right, peace out, everyone.